Okay guys, so today we're going to talk about exactly what is Airbnb arbitrage or rental arbitrage or short-term rental management or rent-to-rent strategy, whatever you've heard it called, it's all the same thing. So we'll start off with the basics. It's real estate investment in a sense, but where you're not actually purchasing a property, okay? You're renting a property, but you're operating that property as a short-term rental on sites like Airbnb, Booking.com, VRBO, and you don't have to pick either one. You can operate on all of those flawlessly when you implement softwares, etc. But we'll go into that further down the line, getting ahead of myself. So you want to find a rental property, okay? And the reason being is the cost is extremely low. You're talking about a security deposit and a first month's rent. Likely that's all you're going to need to pay. And if you get good at negotiating, you won't even have to pay that. You can negotiate concessions, especially once you start taking out multiple properties at once. You can negotiate 1, maybe 2 months rent-free to get you started, okay? But the first thing that you want to actually look at when deciding on a property is market and location, okay? So your market is your market research. There's sites like AirDNA where you can look at current performance of short-term rentals in that area, market specific. So you can type in, to this site, have a look for yourself. You can put in 3-bedroom, 2-bath. You can even put in an address of a property that you're looking at. It's going to give you graphs and figures of average occupancy, average cost per night, and you can roughly predict the income potential of that property. Now you need to take it with a pinch of salt, but it is still a useful tool to get initial understanding. And then location, okay? I always advise that you actually operate where you live, okay? You can't beat that, especially for your first one. You can keep hands-on in a sense, you can keep your eyes on the place, and you'll also have a better understanding of that market because you're actually living there, okay? Then once you find your property, it's about negotiating a deal. So this is with the landlord. You want to view properties, you want to speak to the landlord directly, and you want to negotiate, first of all, for the fact that you're going to operate as a short-term rental, because a lot of landlords are going to have questions. A lot of landlords are going to have apprehensions towards this, okay? They've heard horror stories with Airbnb and now they have a prejudice against it. So you really need to negotiate and explain to them exactly what it is you do in a professional sense and kind of win them over to the idea of you operating. And then with the negotiating, you want to try and get some concessions up front, okay? Failing that, it's likely going to be a first month's rent and a deposit, okay? Never overpay for these properties. The landlords are not doing you a favor. In fact, you are going to be a better tenant for them than it would for them to get a normal person to rent this property on a long-term basis, because they are protected with things like squatters' rights, okay? This person can come and sign a year lease and treat the place however they want, whereas when you are operating this as a short-term rental, like a professional, you're taking care of the place, you're making sure it looks good because that is in your best interest, okay? So that should really get the landlords excited and get them wanting to work with you. Then you want to make sure that you have your legalities checked off, okay? So you want to have an LLC. You don't want to be personally liable for these properties. You want to have it in a company name, and you also want to build up credit, okay? And lines of credit. You want to be able to get credit cards and everything through the business so that you don't have to put as much of your own capital up front, okay? And you can start paying back that credit with the cash flow. Then you want to make sure that you have a lease addendum with the landlord, okay? And what that means is the landlords are legally signing that you are able to sublet this property, okay? And therefore operate as a short-term rental. That must be included in the lease because most standard leases will say that there is no subletting. And if anything goes wrong and the landlord maybe gets salty and wants to come after you, if you don't have this in place, that a prior agreement, they can come after you legally and you don't want to be put in that position, okay? Then the next step is to list on the short-term rental sites. Like I said before, sites like Airbnb, Booking.com, VRBO, the list goes on. You can literally be on all of them. You want to make sure that your listing is optimized, your pictures look great, you're offering all the amenities that you can, okay? Checking off all those boxes so that you appear on the most search results and you get the highest conversion of bookings. Guys, we're going to go into each different part of Airbnb arbitrage and running your Airbnb arbitrage business in future videos. This is literally the most basic oversight that you could see. So like the video, subscribe for more, and there will be more videos to come on each subject.